Asaph has named the coalition. Now he asks God to remember what he has already done to enemies like these. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison. Psalm 83, verse 9. Asaph reaches back into Israel's history for a precedent. The Midianites fell before Gideon's small band in Judges 7, a victory so lopsided that no one could credit human strength for it. Sisera and Jabin fell at the hands of Barak and Deborah in Judges 4, defeated at the brook Kishon when God sent confusion upon their chariots. Asaph did not invent an additional request. He asks God to act again as he has already acted, applying a known pattern to a present crisis. The prayer rests on precedent, not speculation. Which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Psalm 83, verse 10. Asaph presses the historical reference further, recalling the totality of that earlier defeat. Endor sat near the battlefield, where Sisera's forces collapsed. The phrase, dung for the earth, carries no delicacy. It describes bodies left unburied, decomposing where they fell, providing nothing but fertilizer for the ground. Asaph asks for the same finality now. This is not a request for retreat or negotiated peace among the Confederate nations. It is a plea for their complete undoing, matching the totality of their stated aim in verse 4 to erase Israel's name. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah and as Zalmunna. Psalm 83, verse 11. Asaph names the leaders of the earlier defeats. Oreb and Zeb, the Midianite commanders killed as recorded in Judges 7, and Zebah and Zalmunna, the Midianite kings, whom Gideon later captured and executed in Judges 8. Asaph prays that the leadership of this new coalition meets the same end as those earlier leaders. Judgment on the nobles and princes and the rest carries weight beyond individual defeat. When leadership falls, the coalition's structure collapses with it. Asaph asks God to strike the source of the threat, not its outer edges. Who said, "Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession"? Psalm 83, verse 12. Asaph reveals the coalition's underlying motive, quoting their own stated ambition. These nations do not wish to destroy Israel out of hatred alone. They intend to seize God's dwelling places for themselves, claiming what belongs to Him as their own possession. This declaration exposes the theological nature of the conflict first raised in verse 2. The enemies target God's sanctuary and God's people because they want what God has established, believing they can take it by force. Asaph places this ambition before God as the last piece of evidence, showing that the coalition's crafty counsel, described in verse 3, aims at usurping what the Lord Himself claims as His inheritance among His people.